Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we are going to be discussing Week 7 quarterback start or sit decisions. We are going to be talking about Thursday night all the way until Monday night and discuss every single quarterback in each and every single matchup. So before we get into the video, I'd like to ask that if at any point inside of this quarterback start or sit decision video, you end up having a great time, to please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, because not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win that 2020 Fantasy Football Championship. And real quick, before we get really deep into it, I'd like to give you guys a word from my friends and my sponsor over at OverlayDFS.com. OverlayDFS.com also offers something different than the matchup shop. This is the Week 7 shootout under the progressive games. It is very simple. All you have to do is pick 5 player versus player matchups. Who scores more fantasy points, Matt Ryan or Drew Brees, Big Ben or Ryan Tannehill, so on and so forth, and then order them in order of importance and how good you think they are going to do, because if the guy's at the top at 5, you get the most points, lowest at 1, you'd get the most points for that being correct. So you want to make sure the one you're least confident in is at the bottom. It's very simple. You can make a whole lot of money out of this. This is an $11 entry one, but there's entries at every single price. First place gets $500 and top 10% wins $50. So make sure you guys check this out. OverlayDFS.com. Link down below in the description. And we are back. Make sure you guys check that out. OverlayDFS.com. Let's get right into it. Week 7 quarterback start or sit decisions. We begin with tonight, the Thursday night football snooze fest between the New York Football Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, my opinion on Carson Wentz throughout the week has completely faded. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that the Giants defense isn't complete and utter dog shit, and I think this one is just going to be so boring where they just run the ball a decent amount of times. Even without Miles Sanders on the Eagles offense, I just don't see this one being a very high scoring affair. And when the game isn't super high scoring, and if the Eagles were to get ahead, they'd probably just run the ball a million times, so there's no real need for Carson Wentz to be a start in fantasy football this week. If there ever was a game for Carson Wentz to play really big, it would be this game. He has actually looked better as the weeks have gone on, but I'm still not completely bought into it, so I'm going to go ahead and stay away from Carson Wentz as well as Daniel Jones. Now, if this was a point-per-fumble league you're playing in, where you get 10 points every time your quarterback fumbles, go ahead and play Daniel Jones, because this guy just has butterfingers like Ezekiel Elliott did last week up against the Arizona Cardinals. I don't expect Daniel Jones to play awful in real life in this one, but I just don't think he's very fantasy start-worthy, as we've seen thus far this season. Now on to the Sunday slate of games. We began with Teddy Two Gloves revenge game up against the New Orleans Saints, his team from last year, and I think Drew Brees is going to be a start in this matchup. Drew Brees hasn't really been that top 5, top 8, top 10 guy we've really seen out of Drew Brees in the past. Whether it's the fact that he's regressed or the team just isn't as good, I don't know, but I believe Michael Thomas will return in this game. The reports out of the, not really training camp, but I guess, but out of practice, are that Michael Thomas was there yesterday, and then he walked out of the building angry with his cleats in his hand. So I really have no idea how to judge if Michael Thomas is going to play or not. As of right now, my assumption is that he does play, but there are also talks of him getting traded. I really don't understand at all what is happening in New Orleans, but regardless, I think Drew Brees plays very good here up against Teddy Two Gloves and the Carolina Panthers defense. For Teddy Bridgewater, he is an all-right start if you're in a 2-quarterback league. Obviously, he's a very safe start, but he doesn't really provide all that much upside, in my opinion, in this game. It is a revenge game, so there's always the opportunity for Teddy Two Gloves to throw 7,000 touchdowns in this game, because he's pissed at Sean Payton for not letting him keep that second-string job, so that once Drew Brees inevitably retires at the end of the season, he could be the new face of New Orleans. But in reality, he's the face of Carolina, who he is going to get cut off of by the end of this year for when they bring in Trey Lance or another quarterback to replace him. Feels bad for Teddy Bridgewater, and it feels bad for him in this matchup, because I don't really like him for this week. Next game, here we got the Buffalo Bills at the New York Football Jets, and no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills, and no one is going to turn this game on outside of the Buffalo Bills fan, because this one is going to be a murder. Former running back of the Buffalo Bills, O.J. Simpson style. They are going to stick that knife right in the goddamn chest a zillion times like they were Julius Caesar of the New York Football Jets. Now, I have Joe Flacco listed as the starter in this game. Sammy Mono might come back from his retreat looking for fucking ghosts or something. I have no idea. He might play in this game, but it doesn't matter. Cool Joe, Sammy Mono, Sammy Kid See Ghosts, Sammy not very good at football, There's a million nicknames for this guy. He just hasn't been very good. Now, I don't blame him, to be honest with you. I think he's going to end up moving off this team at the end of the year when Trevor Lawrence comes in, and then he's going to be revitalized in Indianapolis or some other team where they need him, or maybe he could be Big Ben's backup and then eventually just become that guy in Pittsburgh. I would not be surprised at all if that was Sam Darnold's career arc. But right now, in New York, if he's the starting quarterback, I don't want anything to do with him or Cool Joe. I think the Buffalo Bills easily roll them here. The only worry is with Josh Allen. Now, you're obviously going to start him, right? But the worry is that it's exactly what happened last week with Ryan Fitzpatrick up against the Jets, where he's just peppering them, right? He's demolishing them in the first half of the game, and then the second half, he's just fucking around. He's like, you know what, there's 3 guys there, but I could probably make this pass. I'm Josh Allen. I have a fucking cannon of an arm, and he just throws a couple of picks or something stupid. Even though the Jets defense sucks complete and utter penis, it doesn't seem to fucking matter because these guys are just fucking around in the second half of the game. But I think Josh Allen's able to get it done here and play quite well. There would be no reason, logically, to bench him unless you think he's going to be fucking around so much that he ends up breaking his fucking spine, doing a 360, trying to run around these New York Football Jets defenders. Knock on wood. I hope that does not happen. Next game here, we got these Cleveland Browns at the Cincinnati Bengals, a second coming of the Thursday night football game from week number 2 of the NFL season. Now, we saw Joe Burrow play quite big in that matchup, but we also saw Baker Mayfield look pretty good. Last week, Baker Mayfield ended up playing in that game with a bruised rib, and he says he's good to go up against the Bengals. Now, he's going to play, but I still think that he's definitely injured, in my opinion, and I don't think he's going to be worthy of a fantasy start in this game. Now, given if he was 100% healthy, if he didn't bruise that rib a couple of games ago that really hindered him last week, I would definitely be confident starting him in this matchup up against the Cincinnati Bengals. But with the circumstances we've been given, Baker Mayfield would be a bench for me on the week, and Joe Burrow, I think, is trying to become the Rookie of the Year again. Right now, Justin Herbert is the odds-on favorite to win Rookie of the Year. I'm a Dolphins fan, so Tua Tagovailoa is going to win the Rookie of the Year. I even bet on it. Lay the goddamn mortgage on Tua Tagovailoa plus 830 on DraftKings. No free ads, though. We only play DFS on Overlay DFS. So Joe Burrow has been pretty okay this season. He's had his ups, he's had his downs, but he looked very good week 2 up against the Cleveland Browns defense. And I think that is the same case on Sunday, where he looks very, very good in this matchup. He has looked very confident in the pocket. He has made a couple of mistakes that are just complete and utter rookie mistakes, right? Where he dumps back there, standing back there in the pocket, and then there's guys obviously coming towards him, right, and he just doesn't realize that my O-line sucks fucking hog, and they're gonna get me. He just doesn't think like that, and then he just gets plowed in the backfield, but it's okay. He will eventually keep figuring things out and become a better quarterback in the NFL, so I'm not too worried about his career, but in this game up against the Cleveland Browns, I really do like Joe Burrow in this game. Go Tigers! Next game here, we got the Dallas Cowboys at the Washington football team, and this one, another snooze fest. Both NFC East teams decide to play each other this week in 2 games that you will not even see go on Red Zone. Scott Hansen will talk about these games for like 4 total fucking times. Well, actually, they're not going to talk about the Giants up against the Eagles at all because that game's on Thursday, but that's besides the point. If both these games were on Sunday, you would never see them on Red Zone because these are the most boring fucking matchups of the week because the NFC East is the worst division I've ever seen with my eyes. In the past, people would say the AFC East sucked absolute ass, and I could agree, it did look pretty bad, but it didn't look this bad. At least the AFC East had the Patriots just dominating everyone. In the NFC East, there's no one dominating anyone. It just looks like a complete and utter shit show. And with that said, Andy Dalton looked terrible last week on Monday night. He looked so bad up against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I don't expect him to look that bad. He looked like a chicken with his head cut off back there. The Red Rocket had no idea what he was doing back there. Very simple. He had no idea. The offensive line crumbled like a piece of paper. They opened up like a turnstile and let the defensive line rock the Red Rockets shit in, and I don't think that that's necessarily going to happen as much up against Washington, but the Washington front 7 is very scary, so I'm very, very scared about Andy Dalton in this game. Kyle Allen, I just have no rhyme or reason to believe in this guy thus far. Sure, he was actually very fantasy startable last year when he was on the Carolina Panthers with Riverboat Ron, but now Washington, it just doesn't seem like they have enough weapons for Kyle Allen to be that guy in fantasy football. Next matchup here, we got the Green Bay Packers, the Cheesehead Bastards, going up against the Houston Texans. Now, Aaron Rodgers last week hit the triple pump. He was like, bang, bang, bang. You can't see my waist, but he was pretty much humping the air. Hingle McCringleberry style, if you guys have seen Key and Peele. That's pretty much exactly what he did, and they lost after that. They just got absolutely routed in that game after he hit him with a triple pump. Now, in this game up against the Houston Texans, I expect a triple pump times 50 because the Houston Texans defense is not good at all, and they're very, very sustainable here to get their ass fucked. And now the Texans might be the best worst team. What does that mean? They're the team that has like very little wins, but could be a team that wins a bunch of games, right? Because they have Deshaun Watson, they have all these pieces on that offense. That's good. Now, the Packers have one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. So I actually think Deshaun Watson may be able to get a little bit loose, foot loose, let everything hang fucking loose. And Deshaun Watson's going to let it hang low like his name was 9-inch Nick Foles in this matchup up against the Green Bay Packers. I like Deshaun Watson in this game, and I like a bounce-back game out of Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Discount double check up against that Houston defense. Next game here, we got the Lions at the Atlanta Falcons. If you guys have ended up enjoying this video thus far, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Back into it, Lions at Falcons. I like both quarterbacks in this matchup. Now, Matt Ryan was taking a sleep, a fucking nap. He had his MyPillow, not sponsored. He was just chilling on there for like 3 weeks, and then he emerged like Jesus Christ for fantasy football out of the earth. And then, now, we see Matt Ryan be a baller with this new head coach there. That's the interim head coach. No longer is it that dumb fuck Dan Quinn. They finally figure it out, and Matt Ryan is slinging the rock all over the yard. He's like Spider-Man shooting his fucking web everywhere. Julio Jones, you get a touchdown. Julio Jones, you get another touchdown. Everyone gets a fucking touchdown, Oprah Winfrey style, and I think Matt Ryan here is going to look dangerous. He's going to dissect that Falcons defense, or that the Detroit Lions defense, I should say, and it's going to look like a very fun game here in Atlanta. Same thing goes with Matty Snapback, Matthew Stafford, Matty Ice versus Matty Snapback. I love this game, the battle of the Matthews. Stafford last week had kind of a down game up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but it wasn't really a down game because he didn't completely shit the bed, but he just didn't play up to my expectations, and I expect a bounce-back game out of him and the Detroit Lions in this game, even though they won that game. We got the battle of two teams that have looked very good thus far this season. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Tennessee Titans, the Les Titans. Now, I expect this one to be kind of a higher scoring game, even with both of these defenses being very good groups in the NFL. I believe the Steelers defense, in my opinion, just looks like a more complete group, but the Titans are no pushover. But I think in this one, we have the casual case of a game where Big Ben Roethlisberger looks like a start, so I'm going to start him, but Big Ben plays so much different home and away. This is an away game for the Steel Curtain and the Pittsburgh Steelers, so I do kind of worry about the fact that when he's away, he just doesn't produce as well. But with Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson likely healthy, maybe Juju Smith-Schuster will decide to show off that fucking skill he hasn't shown in 2 years in the NFL. Maybe, just maybe that happens, and Big Ben Roethlisberger sprinkles some touchdowns all over the Tennessee Titans. And Ryan Tannehill, undoubtedly the most underrated quarterback in the NFL, and it is not even close. This guy has stats that resemble Patrick fucking Mahomes. You heard that correctly. Patrick Mahomes. If you look it up, I'm not going to display the graphic on the screen, I should say, but they pretty much have identical touchdowns, yards, to interception ratio. All this stuff are not exactly the same, right? There's differences, but pretty close. And Patrick Mahomes is widely regarded as the #1 quarterback in the NFL. Maybe you say, oh, maybe Rodgers is better. Maybe you say Russell Wilson is better. There's a couple of guys that are like the top 5 guys, but he's a top 5 guy in the NFL, and Ryan Tannehill is considered a fucking stooge to most people. And Ryan Tannehill has played very good, and here up against the Steel Curtain, I do worry about a tougher matchup here, but I think Ryan Tannehill gets it done because he continues to get it done on a week-in, week-out basis, even with Derrick Henry running for a zillion yards every single week. Next game here, speaking of Russell Wilson, we got Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. This is a tough matchup for the Arizona Cardinals after coming off that short slate on Monday, now going on Sunday against a team that had a fucking bye last week. Does that mean I think Kyler Murray is going to play like shit? No, I actually think this is going to be a very interesting matchup. I expect the Seattle Seahawks to win, though, and I love Russell Wilson in this matchup. Obviously, he's a must-start on a weekly basis. I understand the Cardinals shut down Dallas, but they're not going to be able to shut down one of the most high-flying offenses in the NFL with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks, who may end up with Antonio Brown in the next couple of weeks. So let me know what you guys thought about that. I made a video about that yesterday. I really have no idea where he's going to land. In my opinion, I still really have no idea. My best guess would be the Green Bay Packers if it wasn't Seattle. Maybe Tampa with Tom Brady, but I really don't think that's a possibility. Kyler Murray, though, back to get into it. Kyler Murray looked very good last week up against the Dallas Cowboys. He bent them over, didn't even use lube, didn't even bother spitting on it. He stuck it in raw and railed your opponent into the darkness. And Kyler Murray is going to do that again up against the Seattle Seahawks. Even if I think they're going to lose, I think this is going to be a close game in which Kyler Murray is able to show off his skills on a bigger, well, I guess Monday night's probably the biggest fucking stage you can have until you get to the playoffs, but on a very big stage here up against the Seattle Seahawks at home in Arizona. Next game here, we got the Chiefs at the Broncos, and to me, this just screams another game where the Chiefs don't give a fuck and they somehow might lose this game. Kind of like with the Raiders, right? They just don't give a fuck. They're just slowly playing in the game, and then a team gets a lead, and then they're like, oh, geez, now we need to start scoring. I feel like that could happen in this game, but I don't think Drew Lock is good enough to be worthy of a start in this game. This Chiefs defense really does scare me. I don't think there's really potential for this one to get away, but it would be a sneaky one for the Broncos to just kind of play very good. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, you drafted him very early in your draft. There's no way in fuck you're sitting him unless he's playing up against the all-star defense created from the all-time Hall of Fame NFL, and you're still likely going to play him in that matchup. Next game here, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the LA Superchargers, and I'm starting to feel very high on Justin Herbert this week. I'm starting to feel higher than Elon Musk. I'm starting to feel like fucking Snoop Dogg back in the 90s or the early 2000s. That's how I'm feeling right now, because I think Justin Herbert is going to go in here and finally win a game. The haters have told Justin Herbert that he's 0-4. Now, I'm a hater as well on Twitter. I make jokes about it because the Chargers fan base just cranks off to this guy all Twitter long. Every single day, you're seeing this fucking... I don't even know how to describe it. They're pretty much just making those weird-ass things that you can look up on the internet where it's like a story about some celebrity and how they want to fuck that celebrity or something. That's these creepo motherfuckers right on the internet. That's what Chargers Twitter is. Oh, Justin Herbert, your hair's so sexy. Things like that. That's what these motherfuckers are saying. They're cranking off to him under the table, watching him play, and he's finally going to win a game, right? But Tua's already won a game, in my opinion, 1-0 up against the New York Football Jets, so still my Rookie of the Year. That's a joke, obviously. Doesn't have a win yet. We'll be playing the Rams next week. I digress. Justin Herbert here is going to cock smack the Jaguars. What does that mean? It means he's going to unleash his cock out of his pants and do a windmill fucking formation and slap them repeatedly in the goddamn noggin. I think Justin Herbert is going to go balls to the wall in this game. I told people to start other guys over him. I'm completely off of that statement now. Justin Herbert, to me, might be a top 5 quarterback on this week. I think he blows the back out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. For Gardner Minshew now, he's not a start, but there's like way worse options than Gardner Minshew. So if you're in like a deeper kind of league, in a 14-team league, I would be willing to start Gardner Minshew in this game. I'm a bit worried about the tough matchup, but Gardner Minshew still seems to play well. He's not like the Jets, right? The Jets are just getting raped on a weekly basis. Whereas the Jaguars, they're shit, right? But they're still competitively shit. Like, they're having fun in the game. Like, they make the game so you actually can watch it. The Jets make the game so you want to burn your fucking eyes out. So with that said, Gardner Minshew is kind of start-worthy in deeper leagues, but in kind of a 10 to 12-team league, I wouldn't really be looking at him from this week. Next game, here we got Jimmy Garoppolo, revenge game up against Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, but I don't really like Jimmy Garoppolo in this game up against the New England defense. I already know there are going to be comments. How can you say that, Nick? The Patriots looked like dog doo-doo last week up against the Broncos, but that's because they didn't practice for weeks. They were coming off the stupid corona bye. All this stuff, all the odds were stacked against them. They lost. Bill Belichick and Cam Newton are going to, in no doubt, beat the ever-living shit out of the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I hate the Patriots. I'm a Dolphins fan, so I don't like them. But I take the bias aside, and I really feel like they're going to win this game by a zillion points, and I think Cam Newton shoves his wee-wee down that 49ers defense's throat, and Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, will look all right in this game. With Raheem Mostert hurt, that's obviously a big bang to that offense, like the theory. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo will be fine, but definitely not start-worthy in fantasy football, even though he played very, very good last week. Next game here, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Revenge game for John Gruden. I never even thought about this. Gruden used to coach the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and now he is going to play in a good matchup here where I think the Raiders may end up winning. But with that said, Tom Brady looked excelente, as they would say in Espanol, last week up against a very big opponent, Mr. Discount Double Check Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. I don't really expect a top 5 to 10 week out of Tom Brady, but I do think the 13 or 14-10 range is probably where Tom Brady will fall after this game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Derek Carr has been pretty solid in these games, but never really that guy that you just get your rocks off to starting. I don't love him this week up against that Bucs defense that has looked very good thus far this season, making the Buccaneers a very complete team in the NFL. Next game here, and the final game, we got the Bears at the LA Rams. And in this one, we got 9-inch Nick versus Jared Goff, who I believe were both on the Rams at the same time a couple of years ago. Could be wrong. Probably wrong, because that was so long ago when Nick Foles left fucking Philly. Actually, I don't think he was there, but after Nick Foles left Philly, he did this kind of circle around these other teams, then came back to Philly, and now is the quarterback of the Chicago Bears. And I love 9-inch Nick, my favorite quarterback in the NFL. I even have a shirt over there that I'm going to wear on live stream tonight. Check me out on Thursday night that says 9 inches, and it's Nick Foles' number, 9-inch Nick Foles, because I love this guy. Nick Foles going up against the Rams. I don't really like either of these guys. I think these are two tougher defenses here. Jared Goff is going to be facing, as well as Nick Foles, so I don't feel ultra confident in starting these guys on a weekly basis. And Jared Goff legitimately must think that it's fucking Halloween, because one week he dresses up as Aaron Rodgers and he's playing lights out, throwing dimes, clearly dissecting a defense like he's in a fucking high school biology room. And then other games, he's looking like he can't fucking read a kindergarten Dr. Seuss book. I don't get it. I really don't. But that's what I love about Jared Goff, and it's also what I love about Nick Foles. Nick Foles is very streaky. This guy is either going to go in here against the Rams and lay an ass whooping, or get bent over and fucking rubbed his back like he's a little baby and he's going to fall asleep. That's what's going to happen here. The tale of two quarterbacks that you have no idea what's going to happen in the game for them. And that's what I love about them. I love this Monday night game, but I don't like them for fantasy football. So thank you guys all for watching. Thank you guys for checking out this video. If you made it this far, please make sure to slap that like button down below. Hit it so hard that it's going to call for assault on your ass. That's assault, brother. 15-yard penalty. Thank you guys all for watching. I love each and every single one of you motherfuckers. OverlayDFS.com. Link down below in the description. I love you all. Stay safe, and I'll see you motherfuckers in a couple of hours with the tight end version of this video. Goodbye!